Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, patriots, and in today's video, immediately halt all activities you're doing right now and come watch this press conference, hot and absolutely unfiltered, from Caroline Leavitt, where she took down Jean-Pierre. In a surprising press conference, Trump's current press secretary put on quite a show, demonstrating her loyalty to Trump and our values and putting Jean-Pierre in his place. Leavitt did not hold back criticism and accused Jean-Pierre and the Biden administration of creating an economic crisis. Yes, but she didn't stop there. She also debunked the government's data, and she made it very clear that it was the previous government that caused all this chaos happening now. And don't miss this explosive moment and see how Caroline Leavitt took down Jean-Pierre, putting her in her place, and leaving the entire audience absolutely shocked and completely stunned.
Sure.
So U.S. consumer confidence fell this month the most since August of 2021. What is your message for Americans who are concerned about the impact of things such as tariffs on prices?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you for that question. It's obviously an important one. The president campaigned on reigniting the Trump economy and fixing the mess that was created by the previous administration. We know they created an economic and an inflation nightmare for the American people, and I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you like my predecessor did about the state of our economy. We understand there are people that are hurting, and this administration is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring that those individuals see relief and price reductions and tax cuts and in less regulations that are burdensome on their household and their businesses. And the president and this entire administration are focused on that every day. I can go through the very long list of economic actions this president has taken. I know you work for Bloomberg, so I'm sure you're well aware of them, but I can assure the American people that the president is very much focused on bringing down the cost of living crisis in this country that was created by the previous administration.
Speaker, I just have a quick follow-up.
Sure.
Is the president planning on whipping any votes for support for the House budget vote, and if so, to whom is he making calls?
I'm not aware of any calls that he has made. I did talk to the president about his position on this just before coming down here, and he said that he's made it very clear to the Hill what his priorities for a budget are. He's said it to the Speaker of the House. He said it to Leader Thune. The Senate and the House know what President Trump wants and know what the American people want. And so he expects Congress to get it done. He's looking at the proposal from the House. He will also be looking at the proposal that I believe the Senate is drafting up as well. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions. Does the United States, sorry.
Well, why don't you identify your question and I'll come back to you. Sure, go ahead.
So, what guarantee that Israel will withdraw from Lebanon soil after 2 weeks, as the ceasefire terms indicates?
I'm not sure about the guarantee that you're referring to. I can tell you that this administration remains very much engaged. We know the deadline for the Phase 1 ceasefire is imminent. So Steve Witkoff, whom I mentioned earlier, and the president's administration and his team and the president himself remain very much engaged. We want to see the ceasefire continue, and the president has made it very clear he wants to see all of the hostages who have been held in captivity in Gaza returned home. Jeff.
Carolyn, I was wondering if, is Elon Musk going to attend the president's first cabinet meeting tomorrow?
He is, as a matter of fact. I spoke to the president about that before coming down here as well. And Elon, considering he is working alongside the president and our cabinet secretaries, this entire administration will be in attendance tomorrow just to talk about DoGE's efforts and how all of the cabinet secretaries are identifying waste, fraud, and abuse at their respective agencies. We look forward to the meeting tomorrow, and I think you'll be hearing from the president and his cabinet where they're on campus tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited.
So some of those cabinet members were caught off guard by the email.
Nobody was caught off guard.
A few departments said they were caught off guard. The FBI was, the DOJ was.
Did anonymous sources say that, or did the cabinet secretary say that?
The cabinet secretaries and others have said that they were not aware that this was happening. So I'm wondering, will there be a give and take tomorrow at the cabinet meeting? Is Elon Musk or the president open to any type of dialogue about who is actually in charge of the chain of command of these workers?
I would reject the premise of your question, Jeff. The cabinet secretaries have not said that. I know anonymous sources, probably career bureaucrats, have leaked that to many of you in this room. But as I said at the beginning of this press conference, everybody is working as one team, and the president respects the decisions of his cabinet secretaries to tell their staff, not to respond to that email because they did so out of interests of national security, and they don't want to obviously risk confidential information. It's pretty common sense. Dasha.
Musk has obviously been doing a lot of work. He's been working every day, and a lot of the time weekends. He is designated as a special government employee, which means that he can only work 130 days per year. Is the White House expecting him to limit his work to 130 days, or are you going to work around those rules? Do you want to see him extend beyond the 130
So today
days?
is February 25th, so I think we've been here about 35 days roughly. So ask me in another 100 days. Daniel.
Caroline, thank you. You opened up with a major announcement from Apple, $500 billion, 20,000 jobs, doubling its advanced manufacturing fund.
Yeah.
What does that signal that such a global brand would make what it called its largest ever spend commitment just a month into President Trump's second term? What does that signal about his economic vision for the country?
President Trump is a deal maker, and he has restored confidence in business leaders around this entire world. Apple is one of the largest companies on the face of the planet. They employ hundreds of thousands of Americans, but the president wants to see more Americans employed, more investments here in the United States of America. And this is another fulfillment of the president's campaign promises. I recall President Trump at his rallies on the campaign telling the world that if and when I am elected, America is going to be back, and we want your investments to be driven onshore. We want you to hire American workers, and you will have the lowest regulatory burden, the lowest tax cuts, and the president has already proven he's committed to slashing regulation. He's counting on Congress to implement those tax cuts. And so people are encouraged by the president's, again, as Tim Cook called it, they're bullish about American innovation because of the leadership of this president. And it's a stark contrast to the leadership of the previous administration, Joe Biden, who I don't think spent any time trying to recruit any investments or jobs here at home. Mary.
We're hearing from some Republicans who are voicing concerns about how these cuts are being carried out. Congressman McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, tells us he's worried it's too rapid for real people to adapt to. And he says he's concerned that it could come off as discompassionate, in his words, that it could risk undercutting the strong message that he feels you're trying to send about the need to cut government waste.
Well, I think that was one comment from one senator, and I think, as I cited in my opening remarks in the poll, the most important people are the American people, and 77% of Americans at home support a full investigation into the waste, fraud, and abuse that the federal government has been spending their tax dollars on. So that's the people the president cares about most, and that's why we're fulfilling this pledge. And again, it should come as no secret to anybody. The president campaigned on doing this.
The president yesterday said if you don't respond to this email, you will be fired or semi-fired. What does he mean by that?
Again, I've been asked to answer this question 3 times now. It is
semi-fired.
But it's in the memo. The president again has entrusted his cabinet secretaries to oversee their workforce. That's why he nominated them to be cabinet secretaries, and so federal workers can be directed to their agency leadership. Sure.
Great, thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about a federal judge yesterday was saying that they didn't know who the DoGE administrator was and was asking the lawyer for the administration who it was, and the lawyer responded, I don't know the answer to that. Can you tell us who the administrator of DoGE is?
Again, I've been asked and answered this question. Elon Musk is overseeing DoGE. No, Elon Musk is a special government employee, which I've also been asked and have answered that question as well. There are career officials at DoGE. There are political appointees at DoGE. I'm not going to reveal the name of that individual from this podium. I'm happy to follow up and provide that to you. But we've been incredibly transparent about the way that DoGE is working. John.
The Republican budget.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Since your last briefing, there have been some personnel moves that have been announced by the president, and I wanted to ask you about them. One was the president replacing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown Jr. What was the reason for the president naming a replacement for General Brown? And then I'll follow up with another personnel announcement that's been made over the last few days.
He thinks he's doing a bad job. and it's time for a shakeup at the Pentagon. They failed 7 audits in a row. The trust in our United States military amongst the war fighters is low. The president is shaking up the Pentagon and the Department of Defense, of course, with Secretary Hegseth leading, and he has the right to do that. It's actually quite common from administration to administration to do such a thing.
The president, when he swore him in as the Chief of Staff for the Air Force, called him a great man and a great gentleman. Does he distance himself from the remarks that he made back in August of 2020?
I think replacing him speaks for itself.
And then
James.
There's one other one, if I'm sorry. Thank you. On the FBI, the president also announced a new deputy director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. From what has been reported, and maybe this is not accurate reporting, you can tell me, the FBI director, Kash Patel, informed Republican senators that it would be an individual named as the deputy who was a special agent currently at the FBI, and of course Mr. Bongino is not. What was the reason for naming Mr. Bongino to this position, and was Mr. Patel not correct in making that assurance to those senators?
I'm not sure if anybody in this room has listened to Mr. Bongino when he talks about the past corruption at the FBI, when he talks about his experience serving for the United States Secret Service. This is a man who loves his country and who has honorably served our country in ways that many people have not. He understands the depth of the corruption at these institutions, which the American people re-elected President Trump to shake up. And I think it's quite despicable to see many networks in this room who have had chyrons on their television screens labeling Mr. Bongino as a far-right podcaster. He is not. He is a former law enforcement agent. He is a former Secret Service agent who put his life on the line to protect this country, and that is why the President of the United States has entrusted him for this important role. He's also an outsider to this Washington swamp, and we often see that when outsiders are appointed to such coveted positions, a lot of people in this city get very, very nervous, and they should be, because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Attorney General Bondi are focused on rooting out the corruption at these agencies and ending the weaponization of government once and for all.
Leave your comments here on what you thought about what Karoline Leavitt did, putting Jean-Pierre in her place, and showing indeed that all this chaos happening in Defonomics, this economic crisis, is caused by the Biden administration. Leave your comments here on what you thought about this explosive press conference and how Karoline Leavitt put Jean-Pierre in her place. Don't forget to share your opinion. Your opinion is very important to me. Also, share this video with as many people as you can. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave your like to support the channel. Thank you very much to everyone. See you in the next video.